What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing here. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we're going to be doing the pre-release analysis here for CHASCA and ORORON. So we're going to be going over both their kits and talking about exactly what they're able to do in the game and how I think they'll fare in the current meta of Genshin Impact. So if you guys enjoy videos like this, man, definitely make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as we are on the road to that 1,000 subscribers, guys. And if you guys didn't know already, we are doing a 5x Welcome Moon giveaway at 1k subs. So definitely make sure that you're subbed to the channel so you have a chance to be entered into the giveaway, and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos like this. Now with that out of the way, man, let's hop in and let's talk CHASCA, guys, in terms of what she's able to do in her kit. Alright, guys, so for the Ascension stat stuff right here, we got Rarity obviously being 5-star, Weapon being the Bow. Her base HP is going to be 9,797, her base attack is going to be 347, and then base defense is going to be 615. And CHASCA is also going to have a crit rate Ascension stat at 19.2% increased crit rate just off of having her level 90. Now, her vision is actually going to be Anemo as well, so she is an Anemo bow user and crit rate Ascension. Now, moving on to her talents here, guys, we got her skill, obviously, with the normal attack. So this is just going to be your standard normal attack skills for an Anemo bow character. Nothing about this is special, and it's where we go to the elemental skill where things actually do change, and we'll actually have more of a, kind of a unique way of playstyle for this character. So for the normal attack, again, guys, standard stuff. So Phantom Feather Flurry, it's just going to be your normal attack as standard. So 4 consecutive shots with a bow. Charge attack is going to perform a more precise aimed shot with increased damage, and it will also deal Anemo damage at that. And then the plunging attack is just going to be firing off a shower of arrows midair. You're going to fall, and it's going to deal AoE damage upon impact. And so the scaling here on the normals and charge attacks are not going to be super crazy. It's where we go to the elemental skill and even to the elemental burst where we're going to see a lot more of a difference in terms of the actual percents right there and the damage she's going to do. So moving on to the elemental skill here, guys, we got Spirit Range Shadow Hunt. Now CHASCA's and the will residing in her weapon resonate, dealing Night Soul aligned AoE and Anemo damage. And after using the skill, CHASCA gains 80 Night Soul points and enters the Night Soul Blessing state. Now the Night Soul Blessing state for CHASCA continuously consume Night Soul points. When Night Soul points are fully depleted or the skill is used again, CHASCA's Night Soul Blessing state will end. And her Night Soul Blessing has the following traits: mounts Soul Sniper Ritual Staff, which is going to increase CHASCA's movement speed and interruption resistance. And in this state, CHASCA will continuously consume Night Soul points to remain airborne. And while sprinting or increasing height, extra Night Soul points will be consumed as well. And when using normal or charge attacks, tap or hold to switch between using the multi-target fire in different ways. So now we have obviously the multi-target fire here, guys. So it's going to be either you tap it or you hold it. So for the tap, it's going to deal Night Soul aligned Anemo damage to opponents in the front. And this damage is considered normal attack damage. So it's going to scale with your normal attack. Now for the hold right here, it's going to enter the aiming mode and choose a certain number of opponents within the certain range before loading up to 6 Shadow Hunt shells based on the duration for which the skill was charged. And when 6 shells have been loaded or charging is stopped, these shells will be fired at the chosen opponents in sequence. So moving on to the Shadow Hunt shells here, guys, we got deal Night Soul aligned Anemo damage bonus, which is going to be considered charge attack damage. So for her hold, it's going to be charge attack. The 4th, 5th, and 6th shells loaded into the cylinder will undergo elemental conversion based on the elemental types and other characters in the party. For each Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro character in the party, 1 Shadow Hunt shell will be randomly converted into the Shining Shadow Hunt shell of one of the corresponding elemental types, dealing Night Soul aligned damage corresponding to that elemental type. So this damage is considered charge attack damage, and the shells loaded into the cylinder are fired starting from the last Shadow Hunt shell to be loaded and in last in and first out order. So additionally, when CHASCA is in the Night Soul Blessing state, holding her elemental skill Spirit Range Shadow Hunt will cause her to execute a Night Soul aligned plunging attack, releasing the elemental skill to interrupt this plunging attack and maintain her airborne state. Should CHASCA hit the ground with her plunging attack, her Night Soul Blessing state will end. So you guys can see here that she has pretty much a lot going on in her elemental skill, guys. You either got the tap for the multi-target fire, or you have the hold where it's going to be a charge attack. So pretty much it is kind of based around, CHASCA's either normal attacks or charge attacks in her, base skill right here for the normal attack. And that's obviously going to be pretty good. And, depending on the types you got on your team, your charge attack is going to change to that corresponding element. You're also getting a bunch of Anemo damage as well. And yeah, I mean, obviously as an Anemo character, she's going to instantly swirl that element, which is going to be very good too. And you guys can see here, these are going to be the percents for the skill attributes. So you have the resonance damage, multi-target fire press damage, Shadow Hunt shell damage, the Shining Shadow Hunt shell, and then the Night Soul point limit as well, with the cooldown of only 6.5 seconds. So moving on, guys, to the Souls Reaper Fatal Round. CHASCA is going to concentrate her will, firing a single Gale Splitting Soul Seeker shell that deals Night Soul aligned AoE and Nemo damage, and afterwards the Gale Splitting Soul Seeker shell will split into 6 Soul Seeker shells which attack nearby opponents. You guys can see it's going to deal Night Soul aligned and Nemo damage, and for each Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, Electro, 2 Soul Seeker shells will undergo corresponding elemental conversions to become Radiant Soul Seeker shells, which deal Night Soul aligned elemental damage for that corresponding type. And you guys can see here for the scalings right here, the Gale Splitting Soul Seeker shell right there, you have the Soul Seeker shell damage, and then the Radiant Soul Seeker shell damage with a cooldown of 15 seconds and an energy cost of only 60. So definitely a very attainable elemental burst. It's going to be able to be used fairly often, right, with only 60 energy cost right there. Alright, now moving on to our passives here, guys, we got Bullet Trick. So when the elemental skill Spirit Rains Shadow Hunt multi-target fire is being charged, there are party members who meet the elemental conversion types requires gain the following effects based on the number of different eligible elemental types present. So there's a 33.3%, 66.7%, and 100% chance for each type to trigger the Spirit Binding conversion and cause the third Shadow Hunt shell loaded into the cylinder to be randomly converted into the Shining Shadow Hunt shell from one of the corresponding elemental types. Each elemental type will grant CHASCA 1 stack of Spirit of the Radiant Shadow, and increasing the damage of Shining Shadow Hunt shell by 15, 35, 65%. And this effect will last up to the current multi-target fire ends and at a max of 3 stacks. Now moving on to our next one right here, guys, we got Intent to Cover. So when a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst, CHASCA will fire a Burning Shadow Hunt shot at the nearby opponent, dealing Night Soul aligned Nemo damage equal to 150% of the Shadow Hunt shell damage from her elemental skill Spirit Rain Shadow Hunt. And if the party has Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro characters, the Burning Shadow Hunt shot will be converted to deal Night Soul aligned and elemental damage of that corresponding elemental type equal to 150% of the damage dealt by the Spirit Rain Shadow Hunt Shining Shadow Hunt shells. And the damage done in this way is considered charge attack damage as well. Now moving on to our final one right here, we got Knight's Realm Gift Everburning Heart. So after Night Soul points are exhausted, CHASCA will switch to consuming Philosian to maintain her Night Soul Blessing. And while in the area of Philosian mechanics within Nalan, she can use the Night Soul Transmission CHASCA. When the active character is in the air, the following will occur when switching to CHASCA. So CHASCA will enter the Night Soul Blessing state and gain 32 Night Soul points. And Night Soul Transmission can be triggered once every 10 seconds by your own team. And then obviously you do have your last one, guys, which is going to be the Philosian, and this is just going to be in the overworld when you actually do get the bonus for this. Now moving on to our constellations here, guys, I'm going to go over them very briefly, as I don't think I really want to delve into the constellations here for like a C0 CHASCA. But one thing to mention though is that the C1 though, you do actually get the elemental type requirement to be less. So you can see here that the cylinder, the Restless Roulette, when triggering the passive talent Bullets Trick Spirit Binding conversion, the second Shadow Hunt shell loaded into the cylinder will be additionally converted into the Shining Shadow Hunt shell, and the chance to trigger the Spirit Binding conversion is increased, and there are party members who reach the elemental type conversion requirements. The chance to trigger this Spirit Binding conversion is increased by 33% up to a maximum of 100%. So it's going to allow you to run other characters that are not in that elemental type conversion, and I think the rest of the constellations here, guys, are just going to be pretty fairly good damage increase constellations. So yeah, overall, guys, in terms of CHASCA, I actually do think she's going to be a fairly good character. She, having that crit rate ascension is going to be a lot easier to build the character for crit rate. She's going to do a lot of damage as well. She's able to swirl the elements that she's using as well, based on your team. So you get the Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro characters as well, and that's obviously going to boost her damage. I think there's a lot going on with the character. She has interruption resistance. She gets a ton of extra, damage bonus. Overall, guys, I think she's going to be a great character, man. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to CHASCA. Overall, I think she's a solid character. I don't think she's going to be better than, let's say like New Valette or Arlecchino. I don't think she's going to be really comparing to that level of strength, but I think she'll definitely be an upgrade over characters like Scaramouche, in terms of like a Nemo damage and, having other elements kind of, tie into that. So I think CHASCA is going to be a very, very solid Nemo DPS. Not necessarily just like a raw one like Xiao, you know what I mean? But she's still definitely going to be very strong, and I think she'll be a really good character. Now moving on to Ororon right here, guys. This is going to be the 4-star coming out in the update as well. Now let's go over exactly what he's able to do and also his ascension stats, and we'll talk about whether or not I think he's going to be a good character or not. Alright, so starting off with his ascension stats here, we got 4-star rarity. He is a bow character as well. His base HP is going to be 9,244. His base attack is going to be 244, and then his base defense is going to be 587. And then he's also going to have an attack percent ascension bonus, guys. So he's going to get 24% attack percent ascension, which is going to be really good. And his vision is going to be electro. Now moving on to his skills here, guys, we obviously have the normal skill. So the normal attack is going to perform up to 3 consecutive shots with a bow. He's going to get electro damage on his charge attack. And then when you fall, it's going to be an AoE, upon impact. And these are going to be the scalings right here. So fairly good, definitely a solid scaling right there. Now moving on to his elemental skill, the Night Sling. Ororun manifests an ancient mystical technique from the Masters of the Night Wind as a spirit orb of Midnight Shade and throws it at his foes, dealing Night Soul aligned electro damage. And when other characters are nearby, the spirit orb will bounce between them, dealing Night Soul aligned electro damage. And each time the elemental or the Night Sling is used, each opponent can only be selected at the target once, and after 3 bounces, or if there are no eligible targets left, the orb will disappear. You guys can see here that the cooldown is going to be 15 seconds, and you get 355% spirit orb damage percent. Now moving on to his elemental burst here, guys, we got Dark Voices Echoes. So Ororun's gonna work an ancient ritual, dealing a Night Soul aligned AoE electro damage, summoning forth a supersonic oculus. The supersonic oculus is gonna continuously taunt nearby opponents and attracts attacks from them, and continuously rotates and fires off sonic waves that deal Night Soul aligned electro damage. You guys can see here that the scaling is gonna be fairly good. The duration is gonna be 9 seconds with a 15-second cooldown and a 60 energy cost right there, which is actually fairly good as well. Alright guys, so moving on to his first passive talent right here, we got after the nearby party member triggers Night Soul Burst, Ororun will gain 40 Night Soul points, and within 15 seconds after using his elemental skill, when attached from other party members who are Hydro or Electro hit opponents, Ororun will gain 5 Night Soul points, and effect will occur every 0.3 seconds for a maximum of 10 times during this 15-second duration. And Ororun can gain a maximum of 80 Night Soul points in this manner. And also, when nearby opponents take Electro Charge reaction damage or Night Soul line damage dealt by other nearby characters, Ororun will consume 10 Night Soul points provided he has at least that amount, and entering the Night Soul Blessing state and triggering the Hypersense effect will deal Night Soul aligned electro damage based on 160% of Ororun's attack to the most 4 nearby opponents. And the aforementioned effect can be triggered once every 1.8 seconds. And yeah, moving on now to the Aspect Catalyst. So after the elemental skill Night Sling Spirit Orb hits an opponent, Ororun will gain the Aspect Sigil effect for 15 seconds. Aspect Sigil is going to be when a nearby party member hits an opponent with normal charge or plunging attacks. That character will restore 3 energy, and if Ororun is off field, Ororun will also restore 3 energy for himself. And this effect can be triggered once every 1 second. It can be triggered 3 times per duration. Now moving on to his last passive talent here, guys, because the other one is just kind of like gliding speed for your team. But we have the Knight's Gift, Flowing Fog, Spirit, Spitely Shadows. While in the area of the Phylogeny mechanics in Naland, he can use the Night Soul Transmission Ororun. When the active character is currently in the air, the following will trigger when switching to Ororun. Ororun will lead up high, and the Night Soul Transmission can be triggered once every 10 seconds by your party. And the holding the aim mode will cause Ororun to enter the Spirit Speaker state, which will allow him to interact with the Night Spirit Graffiti and the Night Spirit bodies, extracting information and power from them. The rules for interacting with these objects follow the same rules as the governing, Saurus interaction. So the Ictomisaurus, is that how you say it? Ictomisaurus, right? So those interactions right there. And then additionally, holding the jump button will cause Ororun to consume 75 stamina and leap. In areas within Naland where Phylogeny mechanics are present, Ororun will prioritize consuming 5 Phylogeny to leap up to the height and higher still. And when in the air, Ororun can hold his normal attack to consume Phylogeny or stamina while entering the aiming. Alright guys, now for his constellations right here, I'll go over them again very briefly, just like we kind of did with CHASCA, but mainly the ones that are going to be very important looks like the C2 right here. So after his elemental burst, Dark Voices Echoes, Ororun will attain the spiritual super sense effect for 9 seconds. You gain an 8% electro damage bonus, and additionally during this effect, every additional opponent hit by the elemental burst or the elemental skill will grant Ororun a further 8% electro damage bonus, and we can max out at 32%. That's obviously a really good, constellation right there. At Constellation 4, he gains some energy back to himself, which is going to be good. At Constellation 6, he's going to get even more damage percent. Same with the Constellation 1, guys. So yeah, just a very, very good 4-star character right there overall. Now, what do I think of Ororon here, guys, as a character? I think he's going to be a very good sub DPS character. I mean, you know, you're going to drop the elemental burst. It has a targeting mechanic where, you know, it taunts enemies. It also is going to deal, you know, AoE electro damage right there. And I think that could actually be a fairly good mechanic to where, you know, you have enemies kind of, you know, targeted towards you, and you're going to be able to deal a ton of damage. Now, the one thing that I will say about Ororon is that he's limited to the electro charge reaction in terms of getting the most benefit out of the character. He's not fully limited to that though. You can still run him on other teams. He just wouldn't get the full benefit in his passive right here for the Nightshade Synestia, or if that's how you say it, right? And so yeah, I mean, you're not going to get the full benefit if you're not running him on that type of team, but I still think he's going to be a very good character in the sense that, you know, he's going to be dealing a lot of damage. And yeah, the off-field electro damage is definitely needed. You know, we have characters like Fischl and stuff, but you know, alongside with him, you know, if you double up on the electro off-field damage, it's going to be really good. So yeah, guys, I think both these characters are going to be great in the version 5.2 update, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how well they're going to perform in the actual game. Now, I'm not actually going to be pulling for them personally, but I'll try and get my hands on an account, guys, that has both CHASCA and Ororon to kind of test them out myself. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for the video right there. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think about the pre-release of CHASCA and Ororon in terms of their kits. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a good rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.